All right, 6 o'clock on the dot. Good evening. We are glad to see you all. Hope you had a great weekend, and I know you're going into the 4th of July holiday week. So be safe and make good choices. Okay. So just to kind of give you all of the reminders, if you can have your cameras on, please do so. We love engaging with you and seeing your interactive faces. We want you to make sure you do get checked in. That is a part of what allows us to get you guys your incentives at the end of the summer. And also complete the post-session survey. Give us your feedback. I know it's the same questions every week, but we just kind of want to make sure we've got a great hold. So anything you can do to help us with understanding, truly what can be better and what you need is wonderful. If there are some things that you'd like to address that aren't on there, please don't hesitate to send an email. We are not insulted by anything you want to share with us to make this better for you all. The questionnaire, weekly reflections questionnaire went out Friday. Please do take the time to address it if you can. Go ahead and submit us your week, what happened last week for you. I think we had a pretty good session last week with talking about workplace decorum, and several students mentioned issues that they had in their workspaces. Additionally, business and dining etiquette we had also last week. So this week we only have the sessions tonight and tomorrow night. We won't have a Saturday session since it is the holiday weekend. We also will not have a Monday session because we do have some students who are on government experiences, and so they will typically be off for a 4-day weekend. If you have time and this has been of value to you, we ask that you put something on your social media, tell your classmates, your other friends on campus, tell your faculty, your department staff how great the program is, and encourage them all to join so that they can participate with you guys in the fall through whenever you graduate. I've put a little bit of an example verbiage. You can do it however you want to. And I also have our social media links. So go ahead and follow these social media links. Any of the previous sessions have all been posted, so you should be able to see those, as well as postings on Instagram and on LinkedIn. So with that being said, I believe that's all. Oh, put your name, major, company name, and work location in the chat for us. And I'm going to turn it over to our great and wonderful presenter for the evening, career coach Evans Cooper. Mr. Cooper.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Can I be heard clearly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, students, how are you? Let me start by introducing myself. Thank you for coming to the session. We're going to be talking very deeply about a number of different topics, and I hope at the end of the session, they benefit you or maybe a friend or a colleague or a family member. Just a little bit about me. I graduated from Morehouse. I've spent 20 years in corporate, 8 in HR. I started off my career in Merrill Lynch, went on to JP Morgan and Ernst & Young, and I've worked for some other larger companies as well as smaller companies. I have a diverse background. I've worked in banking and finance. I've worked in aviation, consumer goods, non-for-profit, and academia. I've held the roles of financial forecasting, corporate strategy, once again, HR, marketing, and adjunct professor. I had an amazing time in corporate and also learned a lot. And I'm taking my experience, bringing it to Prairie View, and giving you what I hope to be very beneficial advice. One second. We are going to be talking about handling workplace hostility, aggression, and mistreatment, or what I have coined WHAM. We're going to talk about navigating a challenging workplace or situation to success. We're going to talk about avoiding falling into workplace pitfalls, avoiding negative labeling and targeting, and coming out of a workplace pitfall. So what comes to mind? So this is going to be an very, very interactive presentation, conversation, and I'm going to be asking you questions. So who can come off mute, and tell me what comes to mind when I talk about negative labeling, targeting, and workplace pitfall?
Uh, Passive aggressiveness.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. Anyone else?
Uh, Possibly like microaggressions due to race.
Yes, microaggression. Yes. That was the original name, and I decided to expand it because microaggression is specific to race, and workplace hostility, aggression, and mistreatment can happen across the board. And we're going to get into that. Thank you. Thank you. Our learning outcomes. What we're going to do is we're going to understand upfront controllable and uncontrollable factors to job offers, promotions, and job longevity. That's very important. Then we're going to take a look at how to detect workplace hostility, aggression, and mistreatment. And then we're going to look at what to do. So this is my own statistic. This is not a proven statistic. This is a statistic or a number that I've noticed in my 20 years. And I've noticed that when I observed hostility or anger or mistreatment, about 30% of coworkers have experienced this. Now, not everyone in the workplace has experienced this. I know many, many people um, from Morehouse and different colleges and universities and people I've intersected with have very, very progressive, very wonderful careers. I have one colleague who's at Bank of America, and he's been there for over 30 years, and a managing director. At the same time, there are those who experience very troubling times in the workplace, and that is the purpose of this presentation. So I also spoke to the director here and asked, what has his experience been in terms of getting feedback from Prairie View students? And he says, well, I've observed about a third. So that kind of falls in line, ironically, with what I've observed. Let's start off by defining, and this is my definition, defining workplace hostility, aggression, and mistreatment. What I mean by that is a manager communicating to or taking action against an employee in a passive aggressive manner to shame, embarrass, tarnish, or insult an employee and or make the employee's work appear inferior based on personal biases, cultural biases, favoritism, or actual work performance. So let me do a check-in with some of you or anyone who wants to come off mute. What comes to mind when I read that definition? Firstly, somebody spoke about passive aggressive. Can that person give me a definition? Can you kind of explain what passive aggressive is for everyone?
Kind of saying like non-direct insults
Yeah,
in a way.
yeah.
Kind of like when you say something, they're like, sure, very sarcastic. Or what else? Yeah, that comes to mind immediately. So
Okay, that'll work. Um, what about when I talk about favoritism? What comes to mind? Anyone?
Mm, I would say just simply like choosing somebody over somebody else who may be just as or even more qualified um, due to a number of specific reasons. Like, for example, you pick your friend over somebody who's more qualified because they're your
Exactly.
friend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could pick a favoritism based on somebody's church, somebody's looks, somebody's college, university. That would be favoritism. Thank you. So let's do another check-in. And what I would like to know is on a scale of 1 to 10, how is your new job slash intern going? If you just put it in the chat, is it not so good? And that doesn't necessarily mean it's this question is not solely based on aggression or mistreatment. Just in general, is it as 1, 2, 3, really not so well, not so good? Or is it going really well, 8, 9, 10? Where would you put your experience so far for those of you who are in internships and are just starting jobs? I'd like to just take a look. And some of you, if you like, you can articulate it. You can come off mute. Let's see. It's kind of hard for me as the presenter. Oh, that's good. 10, 7, 8, 7, 7, 8. Oh, wow, that's really, really good. That's good to hear. Great. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see any ones, twos, or threes so far. Nothing lower than 7.
I'm happy to hear that. Okay. That's great. I'm going to move on. Give me 1 second. Put in the chat or come off mute. Why do you think there is mistreatment, aggression, and hostility? Why do you think some people experience that? Because a lot of people say, well, why can't I just go to work and do my job and be left alone? And which is a great comment. Why can't people just do their work? Any thoughts, any ideas?
From my
Uh,
experience, I've
Mhm.
seen. Oh, you go ahead. Or,
Go
No, no,
ahead.
no. I was just gonna, I think
Oh.
it's you, Courtney. I was just gonna say Courtney Calhoun said jealousy. Go ahead, Ray. Go ahead.
From what I have seen in my experience is that some people, if they maybe got a higher position that may not have been what they initially wanted, but it is a higher position, and they see you come along and do a great job at it, and they see that people like how you're teaching or people you gel with people good, then they will get jealous of that and start to take it out on you. And just because they couldn't do that job themselves, or maybe they see that you maybe did a better job than they could have done or thought that they could have done.
Okay, great. You're right. Anyone else like to chime in?
To piggyback off of what Ray had said, I said jealousy. I experienced that, especially with being a younger individual and
Yeah,
having
age.
a good head on your shoulders and knowing exactly like what you want to do. A lot of people can be intimidated by that because they don't have that mindset or they don't have that opportunity. So
Okay,
it falls into them taking out their personal aggression on you, even though it has nothing to do with you.
that's right. Okay, good responses. Thank you very much. So, what are some circumstances that cause the circumstances that could impact job offers, promotions, and job longevity? So, I have put forth 3 buckets: uncontrollable circumstances, your performance and your choices, and then I go into biases, prejudices, and unfair treatment. So let's just take a dive into that. Uncontrollable circumstances, what do I mean by that? The economy, recession, layoffs due to budget cuts, decline in the business because of technology or changing consumer preferences. Maybe there's an acquisition, for example, JP Morgan Chase, and then they had some redundancy, as they call it, or maybe some government regulations. That's not really personal. Then you go to bucket 2, your performance and your choices. You could be a great performer. You could be a poor performer. Poor, incorrect work. You can even do great, impressive work. Attendance, on time, not on time. Uh, Not prepared. You could be slow at your job. Poor communication skills. Also, I bolded this one. You're not aligned with the work or job or company. Your coworkers could be great, but you could just not really be aligned with that specific job. The job is, you're an artist and the job is all financial analysis. Um, Lack of professional development, which is what we work on. What to say, how to respond. how to present yourself, dressing for success, building relationships, reading body language, office etiquette, and also decoding what is being said to you, at you, and around you, having that intuitive feel of what the office dynamics and communication are really, really about. And then sometimes people get into situations or jobs where they're just completely confused, they completely have no support, and they're completely overwhelmed. That's just a crazy situation. But let's go to bucket 3. And we've touched on some of these. And this is what I've listed. Dislike, jealousy. And this is under biases, prejudice, and mistreatment. Somebody can have an issue with your looks, how well you dress, your appearance, your presence, your confidence. You could have talents greater than your managing director or vice president. You could even have intellect that's greater. You could be threatening. We talked about favoritism. There could be some cultural bias, Mexican, Italian, what have you. There are also, in terms of cultural hostility, there is even college/university bias. Texas A&M may look out for Texas A&M, and University of Houston may look out for University of Houston, okay? Then we get into what we call the traditional, what comes up first in mind: discrimination, racism, gender, sexual orientation. How about this one? Your thinking is too progressive. Can somebody chime in and tell me what I mean by that?
A lot of jobs, they want you to come in and just do the work that they have already put out. They don't want you to change or make changes per se.
Yeah,
They just want you to follow what's already been put out there.
sure. Your thinking can't be too progressive, and that's what Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, experienced. And many people experience that. I saw a video on TikTok a couple of days ago where a gentleman worked at a car dealership, and he talked about how he was terminated, and he thought it was due to his progressive thoughts. What about sociopath and narcissist? Can anybody define for me what a sociopath is? A sociopath is somebody who, and it's a psychological condition, is somebody who enjoys inflicting pain on others, who enjoys humiliating people. And a narcissist is somebody who, in short, really enjoys or needs to inflate himself, and often may do that by belittling others. So you have all of these psychosocial dynamics going on in the workplace. There are many vice presidents who are sociopaths, and there are many vice presidents who are very nice and very helpful. So let me paint that picture. You have targeting and retaliation. Can anybody tell me the difference between targeting and retaliation? Anybody want to come off mute? That's a hard one.
I
Go
would
ahead.
say, hello, my name is Jackson Abernathy, by the way. I would say targeting could be like being extra hard on like a specific person's work, or maybe like giving them a little bit more work that would make it harder for them than like other people.
Mm-hmm.
I guess just different things of that nature.
Sure. And
And
retaliation.
I think
then,
retaliation is
Mhm.
if you report your manager or a coworker for something they did, like harassment or something, and then they go after you in revenge.
Yes. And usually it's under a protected class on the EEOC. So racism, religion, gender, sex. So that's retaliation, sexual orientation. How about teaming up? What do I mean when I say teaming up? Teaming up means that other people are trying to get other people to talk badly about you. Lack of support given to you, and bullying. Bullying is just somebody who is just, straight up aggressive with you and trying to intimidate you out of the position. I'm going to play a video, and when the video is finished, I'm going to ask someone to summarize the video to make sure that we're all on the same page and we saw the same thing, and then we're going to have a discussion about what the content of it. Give me 1 second to share. I have to switch screens when you share. I'm going to start playing. I hope you can hear it clearly. Please pay close attention.
But if we wanted to, we could do something about that. 2016, researchers at Yale showed teachers this video clip of 4 preschool students. Their instructions: look for misbehavior and click when you see it. The study was kind of deceptive. None of the kids in the video actually misbehaved. The researchers were using eye tracking software. What they actually wanted to study was who the teachers were watching. Both Black and white teachers spent significantly more time watching the Black boy in the video. This study showed that even preschool teachers can treat kids differently based on their race without even realizing it. Look out.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing and go back to my presentation. 1 second. It was a short video. I'm going to ask someone to come off mute and to kind of summarize what he or she saw. Make sure that I saw what you saw and you saw what I saw or heard.
I saw that even oh, you can go ahead.
All right, my name is Sierra Crawford. In the video, I saw that essentially they were conducting a test to see how these teachers, they wanted to see who the teachers watched. They told them, hey, see which one of these kids is acting out, doing what they're not supposed to do. And they were essentially just watching their eyes to see which of the students the teachers focus on the most. And it tended to be the Black boy. No matter if it was a white teacher or a Black teacher, they both focused their eyes on him, anticipating for him to be the one that would be acting up.
Okay, great summary. But there's something that they said in it that was quite interesting. They said that where the eyes went, they used the word significant. Did anybody pick that up? There was a significant observation of the Black child, boy, yet everyone was basically playing.
Right. I did notice that they mentioned how the eyes were drawn to that particular person. So guess what? If you're watching that child more, you're more apt to see something. And so that just makes you think about that.
Now, my next question is, I'm asking you, why did I bring that video into this conversation? Can anybody kind of apply this topic to what was seen?
My name is Javion.
Hello.
I just think it's about like personal biases that like us as a society have, whether it be known or not towards like yourself. So like even if we are meaning to be judgmental or have a bias towards a certain group of people, we still have that bias either way.
Well, let's just say, I'm going to ask you this question. Let's say that we're all analysts. Those little kids are now grown up, they're analysts, and all the eyes are on the black boy, and they're all waiting for an offer. And their eyes, most of them are on, as they said on the video, if they don't have time to watch out for anyone else, can that possibly impact his offer, his job offer?
I feel like it could, because they'll be looking for any mistake that he might make. So just like less of a chance for error on his part.
Would anybody else like to share any thoughts?
Yeah, I was gonna bounce off of him and say it's kind of like a stereotypical thing, like people's nausea, basically.
Okay. Anybody else like to share?
Or on the flip side, if he's doing something positive, that can reinforce great outcomes for the child as well, and give him a greater chance at succeeding in the task or the job opportunity. So it just depends on, it can be on both ends of the spectrum.
That's an interesting response. Okay. Thank you. One more response? No more? Okay. Well, explain this statement. Sometimes it is not your fault, but other times it is a lack of action and proactivity on your part. What does that mean? That's a very important statement. Anybody?
Can you repeat what you just said? I'm sorry.
Sure, it's at the bottom of the screen. Sometimes it's not your fault, while other times it is a lack of action and proactivity on your part.
4350. I think that sometimes there is genuinely nothing you can do. Somebody will do something, or something will be completely out of your control. However, other times there are actions that you can take. You know, it's not always relying on somebody else to communicate details with you.
Exactly.
You have to go out and sort of do stuff like and sort of figure those things out yourself. You know, make sure you're figuring those things out so you can do a certain action that comes. You can do actions and be proactive on your part to make something happen.
Exactly. Very well said, Ford. Thank you. And we're going to talk about that. Okay, so let's really get into the meat of this presentation. You are working hard, you're trying, you sense hostility or that something's wrong, you're confused, you don't know how to decode and assess what is going on. Therefore, you don't really know how to respond strategically and wisely. That's the situation. So what does WHAM look like? First, it looks like labeling behavior. Constant negative statements and side remarks said to you and about you, said to and about you. You seem angry. You seem unhappy here. You seem not to really be picking things up fast. Beware of repetitive statements. You are actually being branded. Let's take a look at constant complaints, quality and accuracy complaints, unnecessary pressure, false deadlines. I thought you said it was due yesterday. Well, you know, they're just trying to get you to do it. Teaming up, as we talked about. Once again, you're being branded. Made up complaints about your work, trying to find things wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with your presentation. There's absolutely nothing wrong with your numbers. And the vice president or coworkers trying to nitpick and find something. False things being said about you and your work, negatively comparing you to others, and then just overall annoyance. You just kind of feel it. Projected annoyance all the time when you ask a question. That can be very defeating and depressing, and you think that there's something wrong with you, and it's not. Let's talk about detecting WHAM and decoding body language and tone. So let's look at a positive manager. Usually a positive manager is soft, respectful tone, very, very explanatory, as in not short. The manager really wants you to get it, and you can sense it and feel it. Comes back and checks in on you to make sure you truly get things cleared up and make sure that you understand the project. Supportive of you and your ideas when you come to the table. Easily excuses your mistakes, and again, is very respectful. Now let's take a look at a manager's tone under the WHAM situation. Short with you, responds with mean answers and put downs, appears annoying when you ask a simple question or make a recommendation, disregards, puts down or puts aside all your suggestions quickly without consideration. He's angry or she's angry, hostile responses, including email responses, doesn't like to explain anything to you, and not really respectful. And let's go even farther into facial expressions, lack of eye contact, eyes rolling, huffing and puffing when you ask questions or present your work, has a disappointed, annoyed look when you approach him or her, short, fake smiles, particularly when you walk by the person, or the person just may be boldly negative, bold behavior. So your manager's overall body language when you look at certain characteristics or positions, arms folded means shut down. Head down when passing by you. That's a very, very disrespectful thing. As soon as he sees you or she sees you, his or her head goes down and doesn't want to acknowledge you. And back turned away when you're asking questions. So take note of these things. And I'm going to tell you why it's important to take note of these things later on. When can WHAM occur? It can occur at the beginning of an internship or job, in the middle, or the very end. So you can sense abrasive attitude, unpleasant communication, people being given work and others not, project allocation. Some people may get certain projects while others don't. And if you, I don't know whether you all are familiar with the Devil Wears Prada. The lady in there was just a mean, aggressive person to everyone. Didn't have anything to do with race. She was just mean to everyone. So you can have a manager who's just really a toxic manager. WHAM could begin to really serve as a midway through the internship or job. Less work is given to you, work is pulled back, or not enough work to start with. You're not developing. You're not you're not able to respond and contribute to meetings because you have not been given adequate work. These could be problematic. And toward the very end, justifying no offer of promotion at review time, impacting your life and next steps, as well as your financial situation and family. Would anyone like to say anything? What comes to mind when I talk about these things, or has anyone experienced anything like this?
I've personally experienced stuff like this more in high school with one of my teachers actually doing something like this. But my mom, when I was having trouble with it, identifying what he was doing, my mom started telling me to document everything. She was like, start writing down, the date, if it was a certain class period or like time, then just write everything down, write exactly maybe what he said or how he made me feel in the moment so that when it came time to confront him about the situation, then I wasn't just
The
talking, like I
documentation.
had something to say. I was like, okay, this, that, and the third happened. I had a third party witness who wasn't in the same program as either of us and was able to come in and kind
You
of
turn into a little lawyer.
yes, because playing, he was being really mean and just making sure I had everything set. So when it came time to talk, then I was having facts and bringing stuff up and had everything, statistics, all that stuff.
Okay, great. Great. All right. Let me talk. I'm going to start and talk a little bit about 12 powerful action steps you can take to better position yourself to prevent WHAM. First of all, these are aggressive steps, but lack of work, tell your manager up front and find someone you want to work with. And I have always done this. When you go into the workplace, they're all different types of personalities. Quickly and immediately find that nice person or that numbers person or that funny person. Find the person you like to work with, the more senior person, and try to forge a relationship with that person. Be proactive and do online research. Look at the industry magazines. All industries have industry publications, architecture, computer science. Look smart on the job. Research the industry and read articles and contribute during the meetings. Definitely read and go through all the past presentations and familiarize yourself with how they write and what they focus on, and understand what the team focuses, what the team, how it drives the business. Look at presentations, make a list of questions, and ask to sit down with someone to answer those questions, and do that regularly. That makes you look very intelligent. Go through the presentations, listen in on the meetings, read publications, and write down 5 to 10 questions and sit down and ask people, and then people will begin to brand you as inquisitive. Ask to be invited to meetings and take notes. Be assertive. Ask how you can help when they're scrambling around. So and this happens all the time, when they're putting together presentations, doing analyses, they have a major meeting, there's always going to be some type of scrambling around. Insert yourself in there and see how you can be helpful, be proactive. And also, number 7, volunteer. Be the first to volunteer. Sometimes they will see a pool of analysts or see a pool of new hires, let's put it new hires, and they want to see who's the most aggressive, who is the most assertive, and they really value that. So that's a strategic question. Who wants to work on this project? They love to do that. And those people who sit back, they go to lunch and they talk about those people who sit back. Make yourself available when you know there's a major project. We talked about this. Managers in response will start requesting you when you're around and when you're contributory. Approach various managers, VPs, senior vice president, and ask for 15 minutes of their time to ask questions. So a lot of senior people enjoy mentorship. Take initiative and don't wait around. Well, they're not saying anything to me, or they're not, so I guess I don't have any work. They're not saying anything to you because maybe they're preoccupied or they're waiting for you to be more proactive. And number 11 is one of the most important ones, which is find an advocate. An advocate is somebody who's going to speak up for you. And lastly, have an attitude of wanting to work. Any thoughts, questions, or concerns about those 12 action steps before I move on to the next section?
I have a question.
Sure.
So, currently I work at Boeing. It's my second internship here, like summer wise,
Sure.
and I'm just having like trouble not connecting with people or like networking stuff. It's just a sense of like, what do I ask or what am I talking about for that 15 minutes? 'Cause I don't want to waste their time for me to just be there. Like, I want to actually ask some impactful questions that will make me stand out or actually benefit the conversation.
I'm sorry, who is this?
This is Javion.
Javion. Okay, that's an important question, and I'm glad you asked that question. I'm going to use you as an example, and I'm going to answer that question at the end of the presentation.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you. 12 things to know or do if you find yourself in an unfortunate situation. I want you to know and understand that managers, for the most part, align with other managers. They don't align with people who are lower. Very few, sometimes they may fight, but they still protect their relationship. VPs align with VPs. HR is not your friend. Notice WHAM as early as possible and point it out to your advocate, whom you should have secured week 2. Wait and learn to respond calmly and strategically. So what people do often is they don't like to sleep on it. They like to respond emotionally right in that moment. What I like to do is wait and it's very hard because you want to jump up and do something. What I do is wait a day or 3 days or a week. You don't want to respond in an angry, retaliatory way. And also be conscious of gaslighting. Do you all know who can define what gaslighting is? Anybody want to come off mute?
Yes, like gaslighting is like when you bring up a problem and they try to like switch it and flip it and make it seem like it's something
You did.
else that you thought that it goes against what you
It's on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gaslighting, and people do that all the time. So be conscious of that powerful game. And the point of that is when you get to that point where you want to articulate the issues that you have, you want to be concise and have proof and be aware of such communication games as gaslighting. Identify whether the company in general is toxic. The whole company itself could be very, very toxic. Engage your advocate someone in the company who's respected and get his or her opinion. Determine whether your situation can be turned around using your advocate. And as mentioned, save your emails and document, build a chronology, name, time, events, like a table.
Harry has a question.
Go ahead.
So how do you continue with the internship and, give out good work when you know that you're not gonna return to that company?
You know,
Can I answer?
they've determined that, or you
No,
determined?
I determined that, like the culture is too toxic and it's not something I want to
Okay.
be a part of.
Can we save
Yeah.
those two conversations for the very end? I'm getting ready to wrap up. And I'm going to engage
Okay.
both of them. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. This is one of the major things that I advocate. Hire an HR specialist, and you can get them off LinkedIn, somebody who has an HR background or a career coach to help you navigate through your life. And this is what you're doing now. You're engaging a career coach. But when you have your job and it's a full-time job, use your money wisely and engaging an HR specialist to help you strategically think and respond. Somebody who is not in the company, who is a consultant, can really help you position yourself. If you find yourself in a very tough position, you can consult an employment lawyer and look for those who offer free consultation. There are those who offer free consultation. Also know that if the work environment is so toxic, a part of your overall well-being is mental health, and that is a part of your insurance package. And you can go on short-term and sometimes long-term disability, and using a therapist. So do not become so depressed and feel that you're so back down that you don't have options. And always pay attention, lastly, to your inner feelings / emotions, intuition. That's your guiding system. If you feel that the place is overwhelming, there is no way out, or this manager has it in for you, be follow your feelings and spend a lot of time in meditation, quiet time, and getting advice, and then acting for your own well-being.
So can I add something else to that, Evans?
Sure.
You mentioned something about insurance, and a lot of companies do have services, and a lot of times they're free. They call them EAB services. So when you become employed full time, those are services, as well as probably for your internship as well, that your company offers as well.
Okay, thank you. So I always tell and preach to people how you respond in the workplace will impact what happens next. And that's some advice that somebody gave me, a good friend gave me at the Home Depot. So pause, think, and respond wisely. And what she said was basically how you respond in a situation is going to go one way or another way. So be very conscious of that. I tell people that excellent work is very important. Plus, strategic navigation can lead you to great career success. Questions. So I can go ahead and address the first two questions that were asked. Can the first person reiterate his question?
Okay, how you doing? It's Javion Looney.
Mhm.
I was just asking because unless there's a topic already at hand, I'm not too good at articulating questions to like just
Okay.
engage a person's mind that might be
Okay.
like higher. Yeah.
Okay. So this is what you do. You have to observe the room. You have to observe the room and see what people are talking about, whether it's the managing director or the vice president. If he is talking about a deal in Saudi Arabia, he's talking about things that he enjoys. He's talking about pain points. He's talking about issues that he's facing. You go in and you start constructing your questions around that. It's almost a little bit almost like being a therapist. Well, you're not being a therapist to him, but you can hear what he's talking about. If he's talking about he's interested in an acquisition, well, first of all, you need to find the advocate. You need to find somebody whom you like. So you really have a lot of interaction with Jason. But what is Jason talking about? He's talking about overseas issues in Saudi Arabia. Then you need to start researching questions around overseas issues in Saudi Arabia. What is he talking about?
So you're saying it doesn't always have to be like about the company or about you personally or how they can help you move up. It's more about just like being personable with the
It's not being personable. It's engaging the issues that he's talking about. He has some concerns.
Okay.
And
So
if
can I?
you're on his team, you're helping him think through and you're building your skills to analyze. Ms. Corley, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say the point of it to me, Javion, is really about building relationships. So you're trying to build some kind of rapport relationship with this person for them to get to know you and you to get to know more about him and what he's doing. So one of the things I used to tell my mentees to do is ask the person, whatever role they're in, whatever job they're on. So similar to what Evans is saying, whatever they're working on, say, I'd like to know more about your organization if they're a leader in the organization, or I'd like to know more about that project that I heard about. Can you tell me anything about it? Or I'd like to learn more about this particular area. So you're really engaging them. In some instances, you're bringing something to the table where, you've done a little research, but also you're wanting to know more if that's their expertise. Most people would love to tell you about themselves and what they do, especially if they love what they do. So ask them about that. Or say, I was reading something about this particular topic, and I was really interested. I realized that we're doing this, this, and this, but can you tell me more about that? So
Right,
it's
exactly.
about building a relationship and a rapport. But what Mr. Cooper mentioned was you want to do some research too. So don't just leave it on them to tell you everything, but you
Exactly.
also want to be able to engage in that conversation and let them know you've been thinking about this as well and spending some time on it.
Exactly. So I'll just tell you, at a very young age, I couldn't understand it, but there used to be managing directors and vice presidents, as it is at a very young age, who would call me into the office and ask me my opinion. And I couldn't understand why. I mean, they'd be asking me a whole bunch of questions, and I was like 23, 24, 25. And what I later realized was that it was very simple, that they respected my opinion. And the way that they realized that I had an analysis was that I asked questions and I kind of challenged what they said and gave different perspectives early on. I didn't argue with them, but I gave them like, oh, okay, well, I would have thought about that differently. I would have never purchased anything in China. I probably would have done all of my purchasing in Japan for these reasons. And then, oh, he's thinking. Do you see? Okay. Is that clear?
Yeah, that helps.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the second question, I think it was Boeing. No, was it Boeing? No.
No, that was me.
Okay. The second question was,
Okay.
go ahead.
So how do you carry on with a company that you have no interest of coming back to?
How did you determine you have no interest in going back to it?
It's in my opinion, a toxic environment, and I don't think I will thrive and grow there. I'm not being technically challenged. I'm not really. I feel like at that plant, there's a lot of bullying that goes on, and
A lot of bullying.
yeah, a lot like one of the past engineers, from at least from what I heard, quit because of the bullying, and not just you know that incident. A lot of the time when I'm in the meetings, they will gang up on the maintenance foreman and or the electrical foreman. It's not professional, the best way I can put it. So it's not an environment that I really want to continue working at, no matter what the outcome is. But I
Okay.
will say I am getting skills from it. So some skills. So how do I continue on with that internship?
What what I would do, is I would begin to research particular areas and functionalities that, how long have you been with the company?
I started in January, so I think like 5 months.
5 months.
So
And it's something that you can't bear out for a year?
well, it's a co-op, so my co-op ends in uh the end of July.
So it's not a
I mean,
full-time job.
It's not
It's
a
no,
a,
full-
no, no, no.
it's
I
not a
can stick
full-time
it
job.
out. I can stick it out for sure. But how do you stay motivated? And especially, I kind of feel like I have all the skills that I can take away from this job, and the longer I stay, the more disengaged I feel. Like I'm still getting stuff done. I'm still working, but my heart's not in it.
Mhm. In that particular situation, particularly you know that it's going to terminate. Um, it's going to terminate. I would do everything possible not to observe what is going on. I would disengage as much as possible.
Okay.
Psychologically, emotionally, if there are meetings you can avoid, conversations that you can avoid, um, if you can avoid not giving your opinion, really it's called checking out. And I'm speaking in your position where you are. It's called mentally checking out. That you're receiving a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Can I add
Sometimes,
something?
well, I was just right before I finish. Sometimes people want the situation to change or to be better, and that gets emotionally in the way of checking out. But go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
So a different way to think about it, and I realize what Mr. Cooper is saying is you have to protect, try to protect yourself as well. So you don't want to put yourself in a situation where something negative is going to happen and you have to deal with a whole lot of negativity. However, what I look at is from a role of what do I want to get from this internship? One, I want a good reference. So it might not be the person who's bullying and who's acting a rump uh, that would give you the reference. It's the supervisor. So if you completely check out, now you're gonna give them a reason not to want to give you that nice positive reference that they may give you if you perform well. So don't work for the people who are not treating you well. You're working for yourself. And so you think about what is it you need to get out of this role? I want a good reference. I want to get the experience, and I want to learn some stuff that I didn't know that I can put on my resume that help me get another job. So I would say figure out what are all the things that you would like to get from this job, even if they're not offering it to you, and maybe even ask. Maybe they're not doing analytics and you like analytics, and you can take something that you're doing that you like to do or that they're asking you to do, put some analytics to it. So guess what? You just had some fun doing something you're interested in. So make the job something that's positive for you. Figure out, how do I make this work for me? If I like training, okay, maybe I find an opportunity where I can do some training on one of the tools that I have and teach a class over lunch or something. So now I'm getting to do something that I like. I'm getting some personal gratification out of it, and I'm getting some exposure to do something that I wouldn't have gotten a chance to do. So I try to turn those negative things into something positive. What can I get from this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank y'all.
Okay. But on the other side of that, there are times you have to figure out how to manage your own mental health and what's going to work for you. So um, those other things are options as well, because you got to take care of yourself.
Right. Right. Okay. Thank you.
And also you can call your career coach if you have, additional concerns or advice, because it seems kind of horrible. There are no
Yeah.
other, different divisions may do research. The whole company is not the same.
Right.
That's
Well,
what I look for. Research positions or um, things that are not as production oriented tend to be less hostile.
right.
Well, when I say production, time sensitive. Or that could be very ego driven, that particular division. When I say ego, like who's the smartest person?
Mm. For the company I work for, the only pipeline I have is to be a manager. And I'm an electrical engineer. I want to be, somewhat involved in the technical aspect. So there's no pipeline to get to, the electrical engineering role that I want in that company. And all of the engineers that are on the technical side get hired externally. So even the engineers, a lot of the engineers at my company complain about that a lot, that they're kind of like stuck being a manager, if they continue at that
I
position.
I talked about this in the presentation when I said sometimes the company or the job or the task could not be an alignment with you. And I don't think that company is in alignment with you. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There are people, for example, there are people that at Shell, or I'll just use my Merrill Lynch versus JP Morgan. Those are there was two totally different experiences. JP Morgan was a very, very pleasant, respectful place. And Merrill Lynch was more of a rough, tough football kind of place. So I think that that's kind of what you're experiencing, company culture differential.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Good question, Harry.
Are
Thank
there
you.
any other
DJ
questions
as
that
well.
people would like to address?
Yes, hi. I was gonna let anybody else go first, but I have a couple questions for you guys.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so how would you differentiate giving up versus just not being aligned? For me in the past, I've walked away from jobs because I felt like I wasn't aligned with them, but I guess like family members on the outside looking in, they would say it was more like I was.
Hello?
I don't know what that was.
I don't know what that was.
Um,
Continue.
but said it's more like I give up. Like, I don't know if anybody else goes through this, but like our generation is known for walking away from jobs. And they say that it's more because we don't know how to take authority. But I feel like it's like my last job per se, there was chain of command, right? So I felt like I had a supervisor that was picking on me or going out of her way to check to see what I was doing. Although I was doing my job and I was crossing all my T's, dotting all my I's, there was still like the gum under the bottom of my shoe. She would find something. And I would go to my manager and express my concerns to them, but then it just felt like I was being watched even more. So, and they would reiterate, oh, there's a chain of command, like, you can't go higher or whatever the case may be. And I know that we're not supposed to go to HR, we're supposed to go to, I can't think of the acronym now, but it's difficult, I guess, for me because I try to do a good job no matter what the job is. But like I was speaking earlier, other people have jealousy towards my work ethic. So it puts me in like a difficult position per se. And I've noticed this happen at a couple different jobs. So just how do you know
What's your
when
work ethic?
I go all out? If my name is on something, I do 110% because my name is on it. Even if my name isn't directly on it, I do a very good job. My only downside ever has been is that I'm not good with time. I'm not on time. But when I get there, I make sure I do everything. I am like a sponge, I guess you would say. I like to soak up information, but then at the same time, if I have that information or I have that resource, I'm not afraid to give it out as well.
And what are they complaining about? What are they saying about you?
Little things. So there was a time where within my first 90 days, they switched my job position. So at first I was out, I worked in a hospital. I was out, I was talking to patients and such, but there was a day that I was working in the kitchen and they wear hairnets. I had a bonnet that looked more like a hairnet, but it was a bonnet. So they told on me basically for wearing that. Um, why they switched my job position, they said that I wasn't dressed up to code. Although there were other people who wore actual bonnets to work.
So can I speak to some of this, Evans?
Go ahead.
So it sounds like I heard a couple of things. One is that your performance is really good, and sometimes people take offense to the fact that you go above and beyond.
Yes.
And because it ends up making them look bad. So that's usually why people don't want you to go above and beyond, because you make notice of what they're not doing. And you can't control that. How you do it matters. If you're doing your work, you're supposed to do your work, and you're supposed to do work with excellence. And so you can't dummy down your work to make somebody else feel better. So I would say that. The other thing I heard you say is that you're not on time. Courtney, you got to get on time. Just like you work with excellence, you got to get on time, because they can use that against you. And it's very hard for someone to wonder if you're going to show up if you're not timely. So you don't want that to be on your label, is she does good work, but she's not on time. That could mean you don't come on time to meetings. It also could mean they're not sure if you're going to deliver on time. So you don't want people to wonder if you're going to deliver when you're delivering high quality work just because you're late. So fix that so that that's not an issue for you. My comment would be, don't dummy yourself down, but be personable with everybody, and be engaging, and build relationships with those people as well. Try to build relationships with people, all people.
What if they make it difficult for like the teaming up? Because they know that I lack in the one area, they all team up, and now that's just my label. So they don't look at the work anymore. They look at what time I show up, or what I'm wearing, or something of that sort. Now it's like the work is taken out of it, and because the work is taken out of it, the, I guess, emotional appeal. So like now they're talking harsher, or like it's a demand instead of
just the aggression.
Yeah.
So there are two things in relation to you, and that is that, as Ms. Corley said, they have branded you 100% based on your being tardy with certain work. So whether it's intentional or some type of targeting or whatever the situation may be, it's a direct teaming up, and that part does have to be corrected. You cannot be late with any work. If anything, you want to start to be at this point. Now you need to be earlier to fix that problem. And the second thing is, and I'll tell all the people on this call, you have to have an advocate. It doesn't even matter whether you're really good. You could be really good at a company. When it comes to sitting down and saying, Josh is up for a promotion, Mike is up for a promotion, Carmen is up for a promotion. The way that you're going to get that promotion is an advocate. If you don't have an advocate at the company, you cannot solidify an advocate within the first 3 months. I would say that's a concern. You have to have an advocate.
We were just more, that's where the chain of command part was coming into difficulty. Because it would be the supervisor who was my advocate, but our manager was on top of us saying something else.
Okay, the advocate is there for you. She must not be a powerful enough advocate.
No.
Okay. Yeah, that's advocate is advocating and blocking and tackling, period. You need a true advocate.
So what would you recommend in that situation? I know you had
Find a powerful person in the organization who could stop all the behavior.
So even if you technically break chain of command and you go above like three.
Well, an advocate is somebody who likes you.
Right.
Sure, yeah, I hope anybody can be an advocate and like you.
So can I add a couple of things to what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Cooper?
Mm-hmm.
So you're not trying to get the advocate to help solve the problem. You're trying to get an advocate to have a relationship or someone get to know you and someone who knows a little bit about your work. So to go and find someone and when you got a problem, that is a very hard thing to do. So for one, what Mr. Cooper says, you're trying to find advocates and build relationships when you come to the company. It's not about going to get them to do something. You want to know more people. You want to understand what other parts of the organization are doing. You want to build relationships, and those people become advocates for you, especially when they're in your work chain of command where they can know some of the work that you do. So, but in the situation that you're in now, the best thing you could do is resolve the issues that they're able to say about you. So if it's the tardiness, if it's a tire, whatever those issues are, don't let those things be issues. Because sometimes what we forget is we forget to address the problem, the original problem. So address that so they don't have that. Looks like Dr. Figgins had something she wanted to add. I'll let her add and then I'll come back.
No, I just want to chime in, Ms. Corley, you're absolutely correct. And I was gonna say, sometimes you may not have an advocate at all. So as Ms. Corley said, you just may want to prove them wrong, show up on time. We already talked about that with time management. So whatever you have to do to get there, because again, this is your future. This is on any job. Managers talk to other managers. So you want to make sure you're on time, whatever it takes. Even if you're not a morning person, I'm not a morning person, so I get it. But I do what I have to do to get there on time. Also, you talked about the hairnet versus the bonnet. If you have to wear a hairnet, wear a hairnet. Just because you see somebody else wear a bonnet, don't wear a bonnet. That's not in the rules. I kind of talked about that last week. Just because someone else may get away with something, that doesn't mean you're going to get away with it. So you have to do what's right at all times. So that way they don't have anything to say bad about you. So it's, and it's good that we're having this conversation. So that way you'll know what to do starting tomorrow. You go get there on time.
I don't work there anymore. But
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
no, I wanted to ask this because it's like it was a pattern. Although different things happened at different places, it's like it kept happening, and I don't like that it happens. So it's like, is there something that I need to do to change, or is it truly that just was not for me, or those things weren't for me?
It's probably some of both.
Yeah.
There were some things you needed to resolve and continue to work on, but
Yeah.
sometimes places just aren't for you. The young man who talked about the bullying at the workplace, you're not one individual. You're not going to change the culture of the company. And in certain organizations, they do that stuff. It doesn't make it right. And it's okay to stand up for yourself. I'm not saying don't stand up for yourself, but you may not be able to change the culture of that and what they do when they're at the plants.
Right.
So you just got to make a decision. Is this a place I'm willing to work? And if not, start to figure out where do I go from here? How do I use what I've learned to get me my next opportunity so that I can leave,
And workplace bullying, it exists. Just like there's bullying in high school, bullying in college. It exists in the workplace. There's, and you definitely have to know how to advocate for yourself. I'm a huge believer in that. Advocate for yourself in the workplace. You will not tolerate being bullied. You deserve the respect. So, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
You're welcome.
This kind of wraps up our 1 hour session. Do you want to bring us to a close, Ms. Corley, with these are your career coaches? And this is the QR code for those who have not registered, as well as the QR code for the rewards. No, the survey.
The survey. Will you go back to the career coaches again as well? So for those of you guys who have not met your career coaches, these are the career coaches that Prairie View has provided for you guys. And you see Mr. Cooper's in the second from the right on the top. And so we've got all of the coaches that are here. And if your particular discipline is not showing up there, you can reach out to Miss Jones and she'll get you to the right person. Is there anyone else who has a question? Because we will stay here and answer questions as long as you guys need us to stay. So any other questions that you guys want to have get answer for you?
You might want to mention about the July 10th change.
We're gonna do we'll work the topic, but we are doing some special sessions on Thursdays as well. Some of those sessions have a specific topic. Like last week we did dining etiquette. We're gonna do some with communication and emotional intelligence. We're also gonna just do some open sessions where we just open sessions for questions. So any question you want to ask, we'll just be here to answer those questions for you. So we're going to be doing those each Thursday. We won't have one this week because of the holiday, but starting next Thursday, we should be having those sessions each Thursday. Those sessions are not a requirement, but they are adding some content, and you get credit for a session if you attend those special sessions as well. And Harry, gonna let you ask your question, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Miss Jones. And we don't have any other questions. She can make sure we know all of the content we need to get. All right, Harry.
For that last session, do you have like a video of that session or
We do.
live?
We did video it, the etiquette, the dining etiquette session. Miss Jones, did we send out something already to the students where they could see that?
I did send a link out in today's reminder email to our YouTube page, Business and Dining Etiquette. Give it a couple days. I'm waiting on our social media person to get that one uploaded. So, but it should be out there in a couple days, Harry. But if you send me an email.
You sound so far away.
Yeah, we can't hear you now.
Yeah.
You're muted now. But I think what she's saying, Harry, is that if you send her, send her an email, she'll get it to you specifically just as quickly as possible. But it will go out. You guys will get an email with the link to the video once they get it cleaned up and ready to put it out there on YouTube.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So since Ms. Jones is not able to speak, will you go to the next slide for me, Mr. Cooper? So don't forget to do your attendance and the survey. Next slide. Is there another one? The incentive program. So students who are participating in the night program, those who are still in school, as well as those who are graduates who are attending. If you attend 7 to 10 of the sessions, you have the chance to win up to $200 in incentives, but guaranteed 100. If you come to 3 to 6 sessions, you're guaranteed to get at least $50 minimum. So we're going to have an event. We'll give you guys your incentives in early fall. We're trying to schedule that now so we can get you guys your incentives and acknowledge the participant program. So if you didn't know, there are incentives. Next slide.
That's it.
That's it. All right. Well, guys, Ms. Jones is Mr. Cooper, you have anything else you want to add?
No, I'm complete. I'm done.
Okay. Ms. Jones, can you talk?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you to you guys for just staying with it. Remember, only one other session this week for tomorrow. No special session. And next week we will only have a Tuesday and Saturday session. So no Saturday, July 5, and no Monday, July 7th, because of the holiday and our government interns and employees who will be off those 4 days, that 4-day holiday weekend. How many sessions are left? So this was session 5. So we have 5 more of the normal sessions. And I think we have 4 special sessions left, 4 or 5 special sessions left.
And our special sessions are always on Thursdays at 7:00 p.m. And we'll send you something to let you know the topic. And those sessions are based on feedback that you guys provide. So the reason why we did workplace etiquette was because, dining etiquette was because you guys were asking for that. So those are things that we hear from you guys when we're asking you to fill out those surveys. And when we learn something and we can figure out a way to give it to you, we try to do that. And then we're also going to have sessions where we just let you guys answer questions where we don't have to talk at all. We're just talking to you and you guys are asking questions and we're just trying to answer them. So that's also a part of the program. So we'll be doing those on Thursdays as well. So each Thursday we'll have a topic or just have a QA session after this week. Reminder, no sessions this Saturday. So we will not be hosting a session on Saturday and Monday, as Ms. Jones mentioned. All right. I think
Thank
you're
you,
down.
guys.
Okay, I was gonna say we can't hear you again. Thank you all, and you guys have a great day. Please fill out the survey for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.